Now, a Hutch's weather update with Chief Meteorologist Hutch Johnson, brought to you by Robert Gibb and Sons.
All right, hello everyone. Meteorologist Hutch Johnson with an update for you. A tornado watch is in effect as we go into the late evening hours tonight, mainly for Minnesota. Much of Minnesota seeing sharp thunderstorm lines forming. A couple of severe ones not far from you in the Bemidji area. Here's a quick update. As far as our central Minnesota counties are concerned, the risk is exiting off to the east fairly quickly, and that's the good news. Now, the risks do include tornadoes. The ingredients in the atmosphere are going to be there to produce spinning updrafts and thunderstorms. Therefore, the possibility for tornadoes increases. Now, over Lake Winnebegoshish out here north of the Bena area, we do have a severe thunderstorm that is exiting the warned area. See blinking in the orange colors here. That storm is going to continue exiting off to the east now. So it's vacating most of the Beltrami County area now. Most of the storm activity that was severe earlier in Hubbard County has pushed off to the east and is now heading toward the Grand Rapids area, passing through Walker and the Federal Dam area, points south of the Bena area. We do have this backward C shape, so gusty straight line winds will be a possibility with the storms as they work their way off to the east. As far as a quick check of our lakes counties, from Becker County on the east side here into eastern Otter Tail, we do have a few thunderstorms forming. There is a tornado watch in your area, meaning that the ingredients are there to produce tornadoes. It certainly does not mean that all storms that form will produce tornadoes today. So I'll be watching these very closely as we go through the day, as we take a look at the big picture and the movement, and then we'll check out the active tornado warning up in the Arrowhead of Minnesota here in one moment. These storms are generally moving off to the northeast at about 40 miles per hour. And with them, they're bringing a more heavy rain and gusty straight line winds. So all of these cells that are forming in the eastern reaches of Lakes Country here in Becker and Otter Tail County will be shifting up towards Wadena and Hubbard County again. Hi, Tracy. Good to have you on board from Lake Brunson. Things quiet for your area today after very copious amounts of rain over our area that amounted from a few tenths of an inch all the way up to over 4 inches of rain in some spots. And radar estimates have even more than that in some rural areas. We do have flood watches in place along the Red Lake River as it goes in towards the Grand Forks area here. That is very high. A lot of rain has fallen in that particular area. Let's go ahead and read what the Weather Service has reported on that, including the high landing near Goodrich, Crookston, and flooding possible for the Snake River at Alvarado and in Marshall County. That is expected to be reaching a flood stage. Flood stage is 15 feet, and the forecast is for it to be possibly reaching that level by the time we get to the morning on your Thursday. So for the next couple of days, we'll be watching for that potential for a flood. The Snake River at Alvarado, also up here near Crookston. So we do have a couple of rivers, the Snake River by Alvarado up in Marshall County, and Polk County there for the Red Lake River as well. These storms are going to basically give us a small chance of some rain in these areas, but not much additional. Most of the activity off to the east. Rita says there's a rotating part of the storm in the Bemidji area. Rita, thank you for your report. A little while ago, that storm now moving off to the east. These storms are in an environment where there is going to be some propensity for these storms to produce some spinning. Let's go up and take a look as promised to the storm near the Ely area. This prompted a tornado warning from the National Weather Service for the Boundary Waters area, mainly north of Ely and the Winton area. The storms are going to be really close to you. Let's see what they say. This is a radar indicated tornado. It also could be accompanied by some 1-inch diameter hail. I'll get to a closer radar site, and we're going to look at the velocity within this particular storm. And what we're seeing up here in this upper corner is some differences in velocity, a lot of lightning. That tends to go where we have stronger updrafts. Notice another cell just punching into the area with increased lightning and different wind speeds right next to each other. When we take a look and subtract out storm motion, we're going to see some greens and reds next to each other. So one rotating couplet is approaching the international border. This is by Crooked Lake up here. So that is where the rotating part of the thunderstorm is, and that's fairly strong. That tornado warning is continuing through the boundary waters there. Here is another echo that's starting out where the box started a while ago with the tornado warning, and we have more rotation showing up on that leading edge. So active weather producing a tornado warning. By the way, Environment Canada issuing a tornado warning for all of this area up here near Ontario, and these storms here rotating in a couple different places as well. So as we look near the Atacoccan area here, Highway 11. There's a pretty strong signature of some shear and spin in that storm north of the Pickerel Lake area. Sorry for my slamming of the pronunciation. And a lot of flood rainfall warnings, I should say. Rainfall warnings in green for much of areas north of Thunder Bay as we go through the afternoon and evening hours. So that's a look at the setup for tonight. The thunderstorms are expected to be out of our area as we go through the next couple of hours and pushing mainly into central Minnesota and eastern Minnesota. There's a risk in southern Minnesota as we look at the Sioux Falls radar here. You'll see there's been some developing thunderstorms in the area, and some of them are going to be drifting off. Let me put up the reflectivity here. That'll look a little better for you. There you go. Heading in towards Worthington, straight up into the Marshall area and the Redwood Falls area expected to see. These storms also starting to fire up in the Millbank area up here. These could quickly become severe. They too are forming in an area or an environment of some tight rotation. I'll show you another quick look at this time. Last time I showed you one model. If you want to go see the one model, go ahead and check. I'm going to show you another model just to kind of compare, and it's good to do from time to time to look at a couple of different models. We'll take a look at this model coming in right now. That one's going to be old. I'm going to go to one that's a little newer. Let's go to this one. Okay, so here we go. This is just to look at the timing of things as we go through the midday hour. Showers and thunderstorms forming here, moving off into the arrowhead of Minnesota. Here's our main event beginning as we speak, as we go through the early afternoon. The activity in southwest portions of Minnesota takes off as we cross into, around the 3 p.m. or 4 p.m. time frame, so any time now, and those blossom and continue to move off to the east. For us, renegade showers and thunderstorms likely not too severe as the main line of activity pushes off into the early evening hours, and by the time we get to about 7 o'clock tonight, they'll be pushing out of eastern Minnesota and the arrowhead toward Duluth and over the Big Lake, and then we're done with gusty north winds and cool conditions. And by the way, BTW, got to check this out with regards to the spin in these storms. Let's go back to this as we huddle up here and look at the severe weather risk. We'll look at this model's comparison of the tornado signature here. This is where the ingredients both lift in the atmosphere and spin in the atmosphere, coming together with moisture and upper level support for these storms, showing the best chance of some tornadic activity. Notice most of the area in the watch here. As we go through the midday hour, the greatest risk will be up near Ely and the Boundary Waters and on in towards areas not far from Bemidji. Then heading into the afternoon, that quickly zips up to the north. This model shows less spin in the atmosphere than the other one did. So that's something to keep in mind, that the certainty is that there is still some spin in the atmosphere. Let's just look at this tornado parameter from one more model, shall we? As we go through the noon hour and into the evening hour, focusing the Brainerd Lakes area like the last model did, up into the arrowhead of Minnesota and toward Duluth as we cross into about that, well, let's see, that'd be about 4 to 6 p.m. tonight. Then it's out of here. That's a look at your forecast. I got to tell you, our temperatures are going to be cold enough. We got a tornado warning here for the Grand Rapids area. Let's go right back to that right now. Okay, here's a look at the radar. Again, this is out of the Fargo broadcast area immediately, but if you happen to be in and around Grand Rapids, a radar-indicated tornado over not far from Leech Lake or the eastern shores of Leech Lake is making its way to the north and east. The National Weather Service out in the Duluth area is saying that this storm is going to be impacting the area until 3:15. It's moving northeast at 50 miles per hour. And there are other hazards, the main hazard being the tornado. It could have some, and accompanied with some small hail, and gusty straight line winds cannot be ruled out either. So this storm moving north and east. Here is a look at a couple of signatures. You see this little bite taken out of the storm there? That's called a hook echo, and likely that's where we would look for some rotation in the storm. So if you watch where my hand is, I'm going to flip this over to velocities. We're going to look together and see if this is the area where their spin is, and it's right here. It's a little tilted. So we are seeing not far from the Boy River out there and Boy Lake, a rotating storm north of Reamer, and it's moving to the northeast at a very good clip. So if you're in Deer River and Grand Rapids, this storm will be approaching your vicinity. Here's a look at how far it is and how long it'll take to get there. Moving at 50 miles per hour, it will not take long. I'll put it in at 52. Just to make sure we give you plenty of time. High landing in about 15 minutes, it'll be near you. So as we approach the 3 o'clock time frame, and Deer River only 22 minutes away. So that gives you an idea just after that 3 o'clock time frame to be watching out in these areas. So again, if you are in these areas and you happen to be home alone, kids, and you're watching Hutch's weather here, You'll want to seek shelter in an interior room, staying away from windows. Get out of things like campers, mobile homes, anything like that. These are not safe in tornadic storms or heavy wind producing storms such as these. And again, as we take a look, this is not far from Reamer. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the resources we have to see if we can see this storm. Now, the Minnesota DOT page does offer some support with this, so we can see the skies. Oftentimes we end up staring mainly at the roads, but that's okay. So here's a look at the roads out there, some heavy rain and hail. You can see just the low clouds and wind associated with this storm. Again, this is from the Longville area. That is a very windy downpouring storm. You can actually see the leaves on the trees bending and bowing in the very gusty winds associated with this storm as it's moving through. There is another view. So look at those power lines. They look like they're wiggling and wobbling in the wind as well. Certainly a possibility with these very gusty winds that are moving through the area. So that's one view provided by the Minnesota Department of Transportation in the area of the tornado-warned storm. Again, this is moving off of the Leech Lake area towards the Bowie Lake area. And again, we do have a look at this area, Bowie River. Let me see if I have any other cameras. No, I don't. Not have any more cameras in these particular areas. Let's take a look from the north side at the storm, and we can see as we look near Cass Lake, beautiful Cass Lake, Minnesota. And again, the storms on that side are pretty much a little more benign as they have passed through. So severe thunderstorms. Let's see if we can get up near the tornado-warned storm up in the Boundary Waters area here. Here is a warning. Let's take a look at this area where we do have a few cameras on board, and we are seeing skies out there. Boy, the winds look a lot calmer in that particular area. But again, that camera may be not right in the area of the tornado-warned storm that is moving off to the north of Ely right now. So that is a look from the DOT cameras that we have in the area. Again, a severe thunderstorm warning for Grand Rapids, and also Grand Rapids right in the middle of a tornado-warned storm as well. So the potential is there from this cell that's making its way through the rotating part of the cell, located not far from the federal dam. It's right here. We've had zoomed in near the Bowie Lake area and Bowie River. There is your rotation moving towards Deer River now. The latest scan shows it's indeed getting closer to Deer River. The rotating part of the storm is 15 miles to your southwest, and it's moving at 50 miles per hour. Most likely area of that storm with its present trajectory. I'll go back about let's go back about almost an hour, and you'll be able to see the reds next to the greens form right here on the county line. Boom, here it is. So it's kind of drifting in this general direction. So could pass right over the Highway 2 corridor, not far from Cohasset, and also over the highway north-south Highway 6 there, south of Deer River. Again, Deer River, you should be seeking shelter, interior rooms, stay away from windows. That's a dangerous storm in an environment capable of producing a tornado very quickly. These warnings that the National Weather Service put out are in effort to prepare you before a tornado forms, not after a tornado forms like back in the olden days. So while it's capable of producing tornado, it doesn't mean one is on the ground at this time, but there continues to be very tight rotation with this cell as it moves in the general direction of you folks in Deer River, Cohasset, and Grand Rapids at this particular time. So a look at the storms. Again, we'll switch this back to the regular reflectivity here. Tornado warning in and around the Grand Rapids area. Tornado warning north of Ely, Minnesota as well. We have thunderstorms forming out in eastern Otter Tail County on the east side of the big lake here, Otter Tail Lake. Battle Lake area seeing some showers and storms. You can see that their potency a little bit lower on the intensity scale here as what we're seeing. But there's a lot of oranges here and not as many reds with this, but they're forming in an environment that does have some spin in them as well. What about Duluth? Bonnie Erickson says, there is a risk, as we showed you on the models of these storms moving toward Duluth later. The tornado watch, all these red boxes you see here, that tornado watch is in effect for the next 5 hours, which has put us close to 8 o'clock. So the watch expires at 8 o'clock. That's likely when the threat will begin to decrease as we head into the late evening hours for those folks in Duluth. So the individual storms are moving north and east, but this whole line is more slowly creeping toward Duluth, and it will take about 4 hours for that to get there. We do have storms down to the south and to the west, the Sioux Falls area having some showers and thunderstorms forming, and again, the environment there is conducive to producing a few spinning updrafts today. We have a number of flood warnings across the New Ulm area, Springfield area, and more wet, soaking, heavy rain-producing thunderstorms will be on the way there as well. So flooding and flash flooding could certainly be an issue in some of these communities. Looks like we just got ourselves a report of some 1.25 inch diameter hail, 1.25 inch hail reported via a photo 5 miles south of Grand Rapids from this storm. So that storm must have a pretty significant updraft to be capable of producing that. That's looking like it's right on the shores there of the big reservoir, the big lake. Okay, so taking a look south of Grand Rapids, not far from Blackberry, 1.2 inch hail. The reflectivity showing us as we go just a little bit closer. Tornado possible in this area. It looks like that that hail fell from a previous cell that had passed through. We'll load it up. Very interesting. If you look at where the hail report is, let me double check the time of that hail report. Maybe that was from earlier. That was at 12:36. So that was some time ago. So that was one of these earlier storms that has now shifted off into the north and east of the Grand Rapids area. The storm now rotating in towards central parts of the warned area, not far from the federal dam. It still has that shape right here that's called a hook echo right here. That's the likely place of rotation as it moves off to the northeast at 55 miles per hour. With the latest location of that rotating part of the storm, here are some communities that are in the path of this cell and storm, and give you a little update on that now that we see it's getting closer to, well, Day's high landing. Within about 7 minutes, it'll be near you. Zempel, about 11 minutes, and 11 minutes from Deer River as it moves to the northeast. That is where the rotating part of the storm is. We do have a a thunderstorm warning for the rest of the area for this long line of storms as it moves off to the east. So that is a look at Fargo and Grand Forks. Let me show you this. There is something very interesting going on out to the east. I don't see it showing up here. There's a risk of some temperatures getting down to some frosty conditions as we go through the next 24 hours out in western parts of North Dakota. So let's go ahead and make sure that I've got because it's not often we see these cold weather products this time of the year. Just making sure I have them turned on. Indeed, we do. So there is a risk for some very frosty conditions. We do have a winter weather advisory in the mountains of southern Montana. We could see some temperatures that dip down into the 30s in southwest parts of North Dakota tonight with some, north winds and cool, dry air pulling its way in. Where it's not cool, where it's not dry, is where it's hot and humid out here to the east in Minnesota, and much of the state of Minnesota under a tornado watch until 8 o'clock tonight. That's your update. Hi, Cheryl. Good to have you on board. Thanks for watching. Just rumbling now in Nadawash. Thank you for your report. We do have a few more cells that'll be drifting through your general vicinity. As you take a look down to the area there, you can certainly see that we have a smattering of showers and thunderstorm cells pushing their way through Wadena County, Hubbard County, and looking up in that Nadawash and Mahnomen County area here, just a couple of cells that are kind of moving through your general vicinity stronger to the south. What about spin or rotation, where we're seeing a little bit more thunder activity and lightning activity? That's often accompanying the stronger updrafts. And so those stronger updrafts seem to be pretty consistently forming out here, not far from the Brainerd Lakes area, not far from Pequot Lakes and Nisswa to the north and east. So are these storms spinning at all? I'll take a quick look at the latest scan to get you that information. And yeah, we do see some very weak spin with these weaker updrafts here. So the lower environment, and even out here as we look in towards the Battle Lake area here, Vining, Henning, we're seeing some areas of spin not far from Parker's Prairie in these weaker cells, these shallower thunderstorm cells that are forming. You can go to a little bit closer radar here and see what this one looks like. Again, a different radar view from Mayville showing the same thing. It's a very broad, weak rotation on this side. This side here, though, a little tighter, not far from Parker's Prairie. So that storm's just getting forming, and we're seeing a little bit more robust lightning with it. Let's take a look at the reflectivity one more time on that cell. Let's take a look at the cloud top heights and see how impressive it is. Oh, it's growing up. It's getting to be a big thunderstorm here. So as we are looking at this storm, it's forming right now. The updraft is rotating, and it's a 50 50,000-foot cloud top moving in towards Parker's Prairie. So that one could be dangerous. It could be the next focus of attention as it's moving to the north and east here. Watching it very closely. There is some evidence of some spin in that puppy. Let's look at the storm relative velocity. Let's look at the regular velocity and see if it goes up above the ground. So this is the lower level scan, and we're not seeing it this far away from the radar here. That's quite a ways away from the radar. A little bit of evidence of maybe some changing of velocity not far from Parker's Prairie there. And as we go up in the scan tilt height just a little bit, we don't see that shear. So that spin is only in the lowest part of the reflectivity display that we're looking at. Let's take a look from the Aberdeen radar, just because it's sometimes fun to confirm what we're seeing in and around this area. So again, let's take a lower tilt back down through the lowest part of the storm we can see. This particular radar might be too far out. We're still seeing some weak and broad rotation in the area. So rotating thunderstorms, eastern Otter Tail County are developing. One is a 50,000-footer. Grand Rapids and points north of you near Deer River, we have a tornado-warned storm working its way towards your area. And Grand Rapids, the line of storms will be making its way into your area in coming moments here. So giving you folks in Grand Rapids a little clue as to when they're going to arrive. The whole storm cell cluster here, let me go back in time right here. This would be right here. Let's put the leading edge right here. And now it's pushing out. It's real. The line is only advancing from this point to this point in the last hour or so. So I'm going to go ahead and now measure that distance from about here to about here. The line is only advancing at about 20 miles per hour. So it's going to be a while before that line advances right into Grand Rapids. The individual thunderstorm cells are moving northeast like this at a zipping pace of about 50 miles per hour. So strong thunderstorms heading into the Grand Rapids area. If I want to estimate the time to the best of my ability here, these cells moving northeast towards Grand Rapids from this general direction are moving at about 50 miles per hour. We'll go ahead and calculate that, and here are the time estimates for when the severe thunderstorms will be near Grand Rapids, about a half of an hour from now. So near 3:30, prepare for very gusty straight line winds, hail upwards of 1 inch in diameter, and again, a storm that is rotating, and it could produce a tornado. The National Weather Service here says that they have what we call the tornado possible tag right here, where it says, yep, it could produce a tornado. Right now, it's not clear that it is, but it's a possibility with that particular storm. So strong thunderstorms with some rotation in them heading into the Grand Rapids area. We'll take a look at that velocity one more time and show you where the rotating part of the storm is near Deer River right now. So it really is racing. There's another couplet or rotating part of the storm forming down here. And the originally warned storm couplet is right here. Hi, Leo the cat. How are you? All right, we've got the cat in here with me, so now the forecasting gets exciting. It's perfect. Hi, Leo. Yeah, I think he wants a snack, and so does Hutch. All right, taking a look. Deer River rotating tightly. Is this storm very close to you? You should be in your storm shelter. That rotating storm is crossing over the Highway 2 corridor right now. There's this little area right here where you see the reds and greens next to each other, not far from Ball Club, and Deer River just off to the east of you by Ball Club Lake. We're seeing some pretty strong evidence of rotation as well. And then on the downside down here, just north of Reamer, we have another couple areas where we got some shear showing up on the clouds here. That spin evident as it's making its way toward the Grand Rapids area. You are in the tornado warning in Grand Rapids, so please heed the warning and take shelter. So some volatile weather tonight. The Ely area under a tornado warning. We don't have, if we take a look at the big picture here and we take a look at the hail potential with these things, we're looking for real tall cloud tops here. And anywhere you see reds, those are really tall cloud tops that are getting close to 50,000 feet, 9 to 10 miles up in the atmosphere. Now, this is right over Highway 371, just in that Brainerd Lakes area right there. As you take a look, that's Walker, Pine River, just north of Pequot Lakes. That's going to be moving through the same area. So we have another thunderstorm cell forming here that's becoming a big thunderstorm that's going to move through the same area that's being impacted right now. So that's a process called training. And because if we loop this for the last hour or so, you're going to see the storm that's in the Grand Rapids area now moving through this area. These ones will move through the same areas. very heavy rainfall potential in these areas. There are flood warnings in effect for this entire area shaded in green up near Virginia, all the way from the Grand Rapids area, as there's been copious amounts of rainfall from these storms. Does Detroit Lakes have anything to worry about? Let me put it to you this way, Melissa. That's a wonderful question. You are in a tornado watch, so we can't say no. We do have storms that are forming in your area. This is the formation line. This is where the storms are firing, and then they're quickly moving out. But they keep firing in this area. Over the last hour, one forms moves out, another forms moves out, another forms moves out. So yes, you do have a risk, particularly in the eastern one half of your county, of seeing some of these storms. Eventually, this line where these storms are forming will move out over Wadena County, Hubbard County, and off out into the Crow Wing County area, out into parts of Cass County, and also up towards the Grand Rapids area as we push up towards Hibbing. So eventually it will exit your area first. I think western reaches of your county, though, the main event looks to be over. We have a couple of cells that have been forming right near the Clay County line and not far from the Cormorant Lakes area in recent past, but that line does look to see how it's kind of lifted up here. So we have had a few storms form. Look at this. We got another storm off to the east of the FM area trying to form. So that's the best advice I can give you, Melissa, is not out of the woods yet, but Becker County on the east side has more to worry about than you on the west and central side of the county right now. Looks like we got a storm report out here, some damage on the east side and east shores of Leech Lake. This is a trained spotter reporting widespread tree damage, large white pine branches tossed, powers out, and the location is estimated 3 miles northeast of the Breivik area. Again, we can take a look. Oh, we just have that tornado warning for that second couplet that I was showing you for Grand Rapids. So one rotating part of the storm is moving up here to the Deer River area. And then we have this second rotating couplet here, not far from Reamer. Reamer, you are in a tornado warning. Grand Rapids now is in the direct path of this particular storm. We just spoke of it. Let me go ahead and pop a look at what the Weather Service is saying for you folks in the Grand Rapids area. Here we go. This tornado warning is in effect until 3:45. It's for Itasca County, parts of Cass County, as we look at the 40-mile-per-hour movement off to the east. It's located near Schoolcraft State Park, or 16 miles off to the west of Grand Rapids. It's only 16 miles off to the west of you. It's moving east at 40 miles per hour. It will be there in less than 30 minutes. So if we zoom in and take a look at that storm moving to the east at 40 miles per hour, you can even see the little hook echo right here. This is, let's double check that it's a Doppler. It's a Doppler indicated tornado. It says that right at the top. We don't have confirmation of that. Hubby is just east of Wadena on his way home to Fargo, and that's good news because the storms are not in Fargo, so it looks like hopefully safe travels for them. Any spotted tornadoes, Chrissy? Not yet that I've heard of, and I know that there are plenty of observers, watchers, and trackers out there in the area today. This risk has been here for a couple of days. Hutch has been talking about it. Here's the rotating part of the storm. If you are in Grand Rapids, it's moving directly towards you. We're going to look at the areas where the green and the red next to each other. It's near Reamer right here. So as the crow flies, the rotating part of the storm is near Reamer. It is only 3 miles off to the east-northeast of Reamer. This storm is moving and is it's 19 miles from Grand Rapids, and it's a little farther from the Blackberry area, about 23 miles from Blackberry. Here's where it's moving. Here's an estimate of time for you. So here's the rotating part of the storm. We have a couple of them showing up, but let's go ahead and put this in. 40 miles per hour. Weather Service has it to the east, so I put it a little bit more northeast because the track of these individual cells has been more northeasterly. So let me look at the radar loop again and just double check that. I don't want to put out wrong information. Yeah, that couplet's moving a little bit more due east. So I'm going to pause that. And I'm going to correct myself here. We've got one couplet here and one couplet here. So this rotating part of the storm is moving in this general direction, almost due east, a little bit north of it. And we're going to put it at 40 miles per hour. That's what the Weather Service has it clocked at. Grand Rapids, within about 20 minutes, that storm is going to be in your area. This is the current time. There may be a delay in the broadcast, but just know 20 minutes from 3:06 is about 3:26 to 3:30. It's going to be in and around the Grand Rapids area, Blackberry, by around 30 minutes from now, so about 3:38 to 3:40. Dangerous storm, pretty tight rotation that's been evident for several scans. And there is a little evidence here of a backwards C shape to some of this. Jake says nothing yet is probably referring to the tornado observations. We were able from the Reamer area to take a look at that last storm. We saw the trees whipping around. I'm going to go right back to that Minnesota DOT page right now, showing you what we can see from the DOT cameras. Now, again, these cameras were not made to look at clouds like Hutch likes to look at, but they sure are useful for us picking up storms when they do have a little bit of an upward tilt to them. Here's the storm, and this is what it looks like from Grand Rapids. There's a lot, well, that's in town. This is a look at the Gowan area outside of town on Highway 2. So that is, let's see, that is a little ways out of town here as we take a look at the map. Yeah, so very heavy thunderstorm winds and very reduced visibilities from those thunderstorm winds. Let's see if we look around the area here. Okay, that's a look from the Grand Rapids area. The storm is heading your way. I do not have much of a view. I can go all the way back out here, but this is a long ways away. This is the long view aerial view on Highway 200. And so the storms have exited this area, at least the most intense of the storms. There are still storms over your area in that area. So not able to see much on the cameras that I'm looking at. And let's take a look from this one. Oftentimes when you look from the north on a storm, all you're going to see is the rain. We do see some lowering clouds. There is an interesting view from Cohasset. That was where the first rotating storm was going to be moving in the general direction of, and it's up north towards the Deer River area. So we got 2 tornado warnings. One is over the Deer River area, as we get right back to the radar here. So we do have this rotating couplet right here near Deer River. It's moving this way to the north and east, and it's moving at about 45 miles per hour. So we got a rotating part of the storm near Deer River. There could be another one on the other side of the storm here from this other cell as we take a look at that from the radar in Duluth. Now here is the one that's moving towards Grand Rapids, continuing to show signs of some rotation in it in a couple of different places. And again, there's a little bowing structure to this. Let me take a look at what the wind so what I'm saying is this bowing backwards C shape. This can be an outflow coming around, and this could be caused by rotation in the storm. This tornado may be, if it is indeed producing a tornado now, may be wrapping up with some rain around it, and that can cause this little cutoff area called a hook echo to close off like that. So hi, Tiffany. It's sure good to see you. Your birthday's tomorrow. Tiffany, happy birthday to you. The weather looks a whole lot better tomorrow for our area. Maybe a few lingering showers and a cool wind, but it definitely going to be an interesting day. And you share a birthday with my dad. So happy birthday to you and happy birthday to my dad. Out in Arkansas. 3 tornado warnings. Looks like we're going to have a continuation of the first tornado warning. This is up a little bit north. You can really see this hook shape right here, or the bite taken out of the storm. So right here, a pretty tight rotation moving off to the northeast. This really is in rural portions near Cohasset, moving to the north and east. Let's get the latest from the National Weather Service. A radar indicated tornado. There's not a hail risk with this particular tornado. The Weather Service says it was located over Zempel, capable of producing a tornado, moving east at 45 miles per hour. So again, this storm, dangerous, continue to rotate its way off to the east. Let's see how that movement looks. Yeah, it's moving east. So we'll pop that up here and we'll put a little marker on this and show some areas that might be in the path of this particular rotating part of the storm. If you are in Silverwood within around 25 minutes, Marble 26 minutes, and Calumet, if it's Calumet, 28 minutes, Jurgensen a little longer than that. So mainly over rural parts of the area north of Grand Rapids, that is where that is. No wind right now near Nadawash, pouring pretty hard. Thank you again for your report. I appreciate it very much, Cheryl. And trees down over the road near Walker on 200. Janelle, thank you for your report. Trees down on the road. That's 4 minutes ago. So let me see if the NDDOT has that information on their site. Trees down over the road, Highway 200 near Walker. Okay, so good to know. I don't know if I have any cameras or any ability to see anything there. Let me take you to the Minnesota DOT page one more time. they do a very good job of highlighting that because they have their road crews out there and people reporting incidents all over the place. So trees down the Walker area. Yeah, we do have an incident report. We have a camera not too far from it. So there's Leech Lake here. What's this say? Debris on the roadway. That's where it is. So you're looking right at it. Thank you for your report. You're the best. You're what makes Hutch's weather special and really getting information out to people that need it on their cellular devices, online. You can watch anywhere. That is what we're seeing. So again, I want to thank Janelle for the report. Trees down on the road near Walker, Highway 200. Here's a look from a camera. It's a ways away. We're not probably going to be able to see the trees in the road. Boy, we were looking at this camera earlier and those trees were sure bending down, so it's not surprising. So some of the pine trees and the trees out there laying down in the roadside, likely right there off to the east of the Walker area and south side of Leech Lake. Okay, that's a look at that. We do have a look at the storms that are making their way through the Grand Rapids area. Let's take a quick peek. We've got a report here of a crash on Highway 2 near the Cohasset area. Here's the Grand Rapids camera. We got a tornadic warned storm that's moving towards you right now. Let's see if we can see any more. This is more in-town traffic. This is the U.S. Highway 2 at Gowan, mile marker 225. It looks very, very, very heavy rain making its way through that particular area right now. Let's see what we got here. Here is the other camera. This is the US 169. We can certainly see the darkening skies off to the west from that particular view. So we're not going to be able to see much of what's coming your way from these storms. We're going to see the rain first, but there is a tornado warned storm pushing right in the general direction of you folks in the Grand Rapids area right now. So we'll get back to the radar. We do have these tornado warnings aplenty up here in Lakes area. Models showed a lot of spin in this area, and by golly, we're getting a lot of confirmation from what we're seeing on the Doppler radar. And just for giggles, I do want to, I'm looking at the radar here at the same time. I do have a storm that's pretty stout near New York Mills and Wadena, and we do have a camera out in this area, so we're going to go ahead and take a look at that storm from the Wadena side. Now, this shows the street view here, but maybe we can get a view out towards the Bluffton area on Highway 10 there. I'm not seeing a shot there that I can use that's going to show me what's coming that way. The east shores of Otter Tail Lake. Let's see if that camera gives me a view of, well, boy, a lot of trees, no sky. As a meteorologist, I like to look at the sky, but I certainly understand that the DOT doesn't need to look at the sky. And I appreciate the views that they do provide us here as we continue to keep our eyes on these storms as they're making their way through. Here's a look at the radar. If you're in New York Mills, if you are in the Wadena and Bluffton areas right now, north of Deer Creek, we have a pretty stout thunderstorm working its way through. With regards to the environment, the lower levels of the atmosphere showing the greens next to the red. There's just some spin in the air. Shear in the air causing this spin, and it's a pretty good setup for spinning updrafts in these storms. So keep that in mind. There's no tornado warning for this storm. There's no warning for the storm at this particular time. It's a growing storm, though. If you look at these colors, this is how high are the cloud tops, pushing 50,000 feet on this storm near Henning, and another cell up north near New York Mills. These are all moving northeast. They're moving northeast at about 45 miles per hour. And so those will be pushing right in towards Wadena and Bluffton now. And they could have some very gusty straight line winds. Let us know if you see anything or if you notice any damage. Tiffany says Comstock received 3 to 4 inches of rain this morning. Tree damage all over the yard. Tiffany, I'm so sorry to hear that. And the wind gusted to 58 miles per hour. That's a severe thunderstorm. And that is the definition of a severe thunderstorm when the wind hits that 58 mile per hour range. Okay, back to the tornado warnings right quick. For those of you in and around Grand Rapids, there is a storm that is rotating. It's making its way in your general direction right now. Let's see. Let me loop this. There's a lot of colors on this right now. The warning is the bright red that you see there. The reds I'm talking about with the spin right here near Cohasset, and that's one area of spin that's showing up with this particular cell. Flood warnings aplenty starting to show up in these areas as well. Okay, so near Reamer, that's where the couplet and the rotation started, right over there. Now, as we let this thing advance in time, that couplet continued over Highway 6 all the way into the rural parts of the county, and that's where that couplet is right now. Now we're starting to see a more intensifying part of that storm near Cohasset as it's pushing up to the north and east. So that rotation there could be taking over a little bit. So an evolving line of storms producing different areas of rotation. Now, there's a warning up here for rural portions of the county north of Coleraine, north of Cohasset, north of Grand Rapids. This rotating part's definitely showing up here right over Highway 38 and on out toward this area. See these little pixels up here that are blue and red. Let's take a look at what the radar is showing for the actual velocities with the storm. We do see some greens and reds next to each other here and here. This area here being very interesting because these bright reds and greens are very close to each other right here. So that's likely the place of one of the rotations that are being caused by this storm. Near Deer Lake is where that's showing up, near Highway 19 and 38. We do have a little bit of evidence of some weaker spin and maybe less organized on the north side of that. That's mainly over rural portions of your county. Hibbing, you're under a severe thunderstorm warning. Chisholm, you're in a thunderstorm warning. Tornado is likely going to be possible. Yep. Tornado possible from the line of storms moving through your area. Hail is not the main threat. It's going to be less than severe hail, penny size or smaller, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. You also have a flash flood warning in this area. 1 to 2 inches of rain in 1 hour is expected on top of the rain that you've already had. City truck out cleaning branches here today, says Judy. Judy, I didn't see where you were watching from. Would love to have you comment there where that was, but that's going to be the case with these storms, right? We're going to now have to pick up cleanup. And many of the overnight storms that I covered all night last night, you didn't see the damage until we got up today. So if we take a look at the damage reports from last night's storms, I'm going to pop this up. So we'll go out more than 10 hours here. We'll go out 12 hours of storm reports of yours. Let's see if we get these now. Now you can start to see all of these little tree branches down. These were all wind damage reports. Northern parts of Clay County we covered last night showed evidence of some winds that could have been at cloud level. They were as high as 100 plus miles per hour. That doesn't mean that's what reached the ground, but we do have damage reports coming in. This up here near the Ulen area. This damage report said that there was last night very large trees blown over in the yard there 3 miles west of Ulen. Hitterdall area, we did have a storm report outside of Hawley. That gusty windstorm that moved through northern Clay County pushed into Hawley later, and a large tree was snapped, reported by the public 1 mile east of Hawley, probably not far from the Highway 32 exit there, maybe on the hill or just down in town there. Okay, so again, there's some reports of some significant damage as well down in the, I believe it was south near the Wilkin County area of a power line bent. That might be what this report is here. Foxhome, here we go. Boom, a few trees down west of Fergus Falls. That's what that was reported by a law enforcement officer. Got a picture from someone today that was in this general area here to the south and east that had a large metal tower that had folded over and bowed over from the winds. Wadena area seeing some wind. This was reported. Tops of trees snapped. That was estimated to happen at before 6 a.m. this morning. So the storms last night were very windy, caused damage. We're waking up and starting to see what some of the damage was. And now we have a report here in Grand Rapids. Let's see what we got. Grand Rapids, 1 mile northeast, birch tree snapped off 10 feet above the ground. Likely occurred with the first storm going through at 3:30 this morning. Good to know. So very early storms that occurred in the Grand Rapids area, and that had a tree snap. That's not with the tornado warning storm that's moving through your area right now. So tornado warning in Grand Rapids. There is evidence of rotation between Grand Rapids and Cohasset right now. If you're in these areas, please seek shelter. Interior room on the lowest floor possible. Get out of things like mobile homes, manufactured homes if you happen to be out and about camping this weekend. Know where you can go to seek shelter in a more sturdy structure. I'm going to put the time back up here. I apologize for not having that up. So there's that rotation that's north of that let's see, is that Cohasset area? Yeah, Coleraine, Cohasset area. That's pretty tight rotation showing up right there. And we do have another little couplet that's starting to show up with some wind speed changes out there in the Deer Lake area. So this entire area has a cluster of thunderstorms with numerous areas of rotation showing up. These are all Doppler indicated tornadoes. At this time, we do not have confirmation of tornado. That usually is a good sign. I'm checking with my friends at the Duluth National Weather Service office here. Let's see what we got. Okay. Latest messages and reports. Complicated situation, to say the least. Spin-up circulations along the line are taking place. The leading outflow of these storms kicking out some spin-ups. So tornado warnings are going to be tough to pick out because, as we showed you, they kind of cycle from one spot to the next. One that was formed 30 minutes ago seems to dissipate and a new one takes hold. So that's what's going on in these areas out near Grand Rapids right now. I'm going to stay with everybody here on this broadcast until this storm that's rotating moves through the Grand Rapids area and moves up into rural portions of the county just north of Grand Rapids. The latest from the National Weather Service says it was located right near Grand Rapids, moving east at 45 miles per hour. So again, the location of that rotating part of the storm right here near Cohasset, near Grand Rapids, right here, as moving east at 45 miles per hour in towards Grand Rapids and on the north side of town in particular. So right now over Highway 2 near the Lakeview Terrace area. And if you are in mobile homes, not a safe place to be seeking shelter from a tornado. You want to seek shelter in something more sturdy than that. Up near Cohasset, we have a pretty good rotation taking place as well. And again, these storms moving east at 45 miles per hour are going to put them in Grand Rapids anytime now. So again, we'll wait for word from any of you. If you have observations to share, let me know. In Grand Rapids, it's raining heavily. Crystal, thank you for your report. Marshall, Minnesota. Okay, very good. I'm just reading some comments here that I'm getting. Thank you all for your feedback on what's going on. Thank you for watching Hutch's Weather. If you do have a question, please go ahead and ask. Don't be afraid. You're not interrupting anything. As we take a look at what's pushing into Wadena County now. Let's see if this was an old 5 a.m. damage report. Yep. So I'm going to turn off the old damage reports. I just turned them on to show last night's storm damage. And we're going to just show stuff from the last 3 hours or so, and that'll help us weed out what happened from this morning versus what's happening now. This line of storms here from New York Mills pushing into Bluffton, Wadena, and the Deer Creek area. This is moving off to the east in eastern Otter Tail County. If you take a look, the individual cells, though, moving to the northeast fairly quickly. See that movement? The whole line is moving east, but these individual cells keep forming and moving to the north. So a lot of lightning showing up out here ahead of the storm. There's likely another thunderstorm that's forming right here that we're just not seeing much with right at this time near Eagle Bend. That's going to be moving into the Todd County area, just to the south of Highway 210. Okay, so 210 between Henning and Staples and out near the Eagle area. That's where this storm is moving. Let's take a look at that on the cloud tops and see if that new cell is showing up right near the lightning, just to the south of it. So there's quite a bit of lightning associated with this storm as it's lifting off to the north as well. So keep that in mind. You know, it's kind of funny lightning, not funny, but kind of a feature of lightning that once a storm goes by, you think you're in the clear and then bam, you get some really not nasty strikes from outside the storm. Those can be some of the more powerful storm lightning strikes because they have to travel through miles and miles of air to make contact with the ground. Continues to be a tornado warning not far from the area up in Ely. Nope, they just literally canceled it just as I said the word. So Ely, the tornado warned storm has cleared your area. You got a smattering of 45 to 50,000 foot cloud tops. So that's what these colors are showing us here, that are going to continue to push through the area, and a line of potentially tornadic storms that have Doppler indicated tornadoes on them as we are working our way through. Winds here in Wilmer have really increased from the southeast. Simon, thank you. And again, as we look down to the south, I'll have to switch radars here to show a little bit more of what you got going on in Wilmer. We'll go to the Minneapolis radar. Ooh, look at this. Look at Richland County here. We got a storm forming in the Morton area, okay? So just a straggler behind the main line. This one has a pretty tall tower associated with it, 46,000 feet. I wasn't expecting that one to form there in Richland County. I'll look at the reflectivity on that particular storm, showing that it's moving right over Morton right now. It's got 50 dBz, so not a huge hail producer on that particular cell. Its movement looks probably to be to the, let's see, Yep, it's moving from southwest to northeast as well. We'll be pushing in the general direction of Abercrombie and Dwight in the upcoming minutes. So a thunderstorm forming in and around Richland County right now, pushing to the north and east. I'll let you know if it's spinning or rotating. It's just starting to grow up though a little bit. So this one is on the back side of this system. I'm going to have to switch radars. I'm sorry. Okay. Let's go to the radar here in Mayville. Yeah, it's really muddled and it's hard to see. I'll switch to the Aberdeen radar here and see if it's seeing anything any different. Nope. You know what? It's just forming. It's a non-severe thunderstorm. It's working its way through central parts of Richland County, so expect thunder, lightning, more heavy rain in that area. It looks like as far as you folks in Wahpeton, it should pass to your north. Dwight, it's going to pass pretty close to you as well. Ottertail County, what we're seeing on these storms is more of a uniform flow, unidirectional flow from the storm and from that particular radar. And same thing as we look in on a different radar. Let's take a look at the Mayville radar. That might even be farther away. This one's showing just a little bit of spin or shear in the storm as it's making its way into Todd County. So Eagle Bend north towards Verndale. Some strong thunderstorms with some winds out there. And again, you are in a tornado watch, but the strongest of the storms up to your north, up by the Grand Rapids area. So zooming in on Grand Rapids, it does look like there is now a brand new severe thunderstorm warning for the area. Let's see what that's about, because you got a thunderstorm warning, a tornado warning, and you have another tornado warning to your north. So it's kind of a muddled mess, as the National Weather Service said there along this leading edge. The thunderstorm warning says there's a tornado possible. 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts will be possible with the storm. And reading what the Duluth National Weather Service office is saying about it, let's zoom in, go up a little bit so I can pull that up. Moving east at 35 miles per hour at 3:14, or just moments ago here, a line of storms from about 11 miles southeast of the Scenic State Park area to 11 miles northwest of Coleraine, producing some gusty wind damage potential. So we continue with radar indicated tornadoes in the area. The tornado warning, by the way, for the Grand Rapids area, if we click on it, is in effect until, let's see, until 3:45. So it is about 15 minutes from expiration. Taking a look at the latest velocity with regards to this cell moving in towards Grand Rapids. I'm going to go to a closer radar. Let's go to the Duluth radar here. That rotation is still right over the Grand Rapids area between Cohasset and Grand Rapids. It's not as strong, but it's still there. So radar indicated rotation. This area here has wind moving towards Duluth. This has wind moving away from Duluth. So right there is a spin. That's making its way right toward Blackberry. Grand Rapids, it's right over you. You should be in your tornado safe space. And as we look up to the north here, we're starting to see some evidence of a little bit more spin or shear in the storm north of Marble and Coleraine. There's a tornado warning for that storm, but that particular rotating part of the cell is on the northern fringe of that, in rural portions of the county. That rotating part of the storm moving off to the east, I believe it was moving at about 40 miles per hour. So that could be heading in the general direction of the Hibbing area in some time if the rotation keeps up. So we do have that system heading towards Stevenson in 25 minutes, Bennett 23 minutes. And let's scroll down a little bit more. Hibbing within about 30 minutes or so. That puts you right at the 4 o'clock time frame. So that is what's going on as we head into your late afternoon hours here. Tornado warnings in and around Grand Rapids. We have no confirmation of any tornadoes on the ground. We don't have any confirmation of any of those making contact with the ground, but we do have confirmation from Doppler radar that they're forming in an environment that has a lot of spin to it. So there certainly is a possibility. All right, that is a look at what's going on right now. The storms are exiting through Grand Rapids, pushing towards Coleraine and points east towards Blackberry right now. Any of these areas likely to see the potential for gusts of wind upwards of 65 to 70 miles per hour, and also likely to see the potential for some tornadoes in and along this leading edge of the line here and there. Looks like they briefly pop up and then that structure seems to go away and a new area of rotation forms with these storms. So along the leading edge, that is just simply going to be a possibility. There is a storm that is formed now down in Richland County. We'll keep our eyes on that. Here's a look at the velocities. Let's go ahead and look at the reflectivities. So a little thunder and lightning approaching you folks down there in the Abercrombie area right now. This storm is actually expanding and getting a little stronger over Morton. So we're starting to see there could be even a hail core with this one now. Not a huge hail core. It's not severe, but it is a growing up storm. And it's basically staying fairly stationary over the last couple of scans. Moving to the northeast, though, is a general trend, as you can see with these cells, but it's continuing to develop over Morton. So Abercrombie, some locally heavy rain, some hail potential from that cell, generally penny size or maybe smaller is going to be more than likely what we're seeing. And the cloud tops on that, we're starting to get a little more significant as well. If you happen to be in the Morris Benson area, some thunderstorm cells near Appleton are heading in your general direction. Those storms are below severe criteria as well. That's a look at your weather. I'm meteorologist Hutch Johnson. I'm going to go take a break. I will be back with updates throughout the afternoon. Tornado warnings continue in the Grand Rapids area, thunderstorm warnings as well. Gusty wind and tornadoes remain the main threat from these storms. From time to time, we could see some producing hail upwards of 1 inch in diameter. I'll keep you posted right here. Thanks for watching. Thank you for all of your reports right here on Facebook. And thanks for liking my videos. And thanks for following me here on Facebook and subscribing by hitting the subscribe button right here on YouTube as well. Thanks so much. Stay safe. Stay informed.